All right, let's talk about this with radio talk show host Cenk Uygur. I'm also joined by Scotty Nell Hughes. She's a Trump supporter and national political commentator for USA Radio Networks. Welcome to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Cenk, I want to start with you. Hillary Clinton is kind of walking a fine line here, right? Because donors want her to attack Trump, and she is. But doesn't she run the risk that she might alienate Sanders supporters who might think that she's presuming she has the nomination wrapped up?
Well, she's been doing that for a long time, so why stop now? Yeah, she thought she had the nomination wrapped up for the entire time. And she seemed to. A year ago, she had a 59-point lead. She's lost that entire lead, and now she's in a lot of trouble. She's lost the last 6 out of 7 races, and yet she still goes on pretending that she's definitely the nominee. And by the way, if you want someone who could beat Donald Trump, Bernie Sanders does better against Donald Trump in every single poll over Hillary Clinton.
And Scotty, Cenk is right about that. Hillary Clinton also does pretty well with women as far as that goes. As Politico points out, a Quinnipiac University poll has Clinton 16 points ahead of Trump among women voters. Clinton also led among women voters by 19 points in a Fox News poll and by 27 points in a CNN ORC poll. How can Trump possibly beat Clinton or Sanders for that matter?
Well, and then we look at polls. Obviously, they do hold a factor and are very important. However, what these polls are registering are just straight Republicans versus straight Democrats. They're not talking to the crossovers as well as those that are the independents that are going for Mr. Trump. And we're finding out more and more that's a very large part of his base, a base that the GOP has been saying they wanted to go after. And yet now that they have it, they continue to basically backhand every chance they get. You know, this whole media circus and this whole circus that we've seen on the right has completely allowed what's going on the left to be basically unknown. I mean, we saw this morning, we saw Hillary Clinton putting her finger in a Greenpeace protester's face and wagging it and basically calling, saying she's tired of Bernie Sanders' lies. Yet, that right there, I mean, if there would have been a Republican candidate, if Mr. Trump would have done that, that would have been the headline on every single news right now. So I think, the key is, and you're seeing it with this meeting yesterday with the GOP, I think the key is starting to really go for some peace, some unity on the GOP side, and start to bring the light, the chaos that's going on right now on the Democrats. And as soon as the Bernie Sanders folks feel like and realize that the math is against them, I think we're going to have a very, very strong contentious at the Democrats convention, probably even more than the Republicans.
Cenk, do you agree with any of that?
Well, first of all, there's no chaos. There's a race. So right now, it's a very close race. And by the way, the media drives me crazy, including CNN, when you guys count superdelegates. Superdelegates don't vote till later. And in 2008, they switched from Hillary Clinton to Barack Obama when he had won the popular voting. So that could easily happen here again with Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is more electable according to CNN polling, every polling. He crushes Donald Trump, not only better than Hillary Clinton, but he actually does far better with independents, as Scotty just mentioned, than Donald Trump does. Leagues better. So he's the more electable candidate.
Let's ask Scotty. Is Donald Trump more afraid of Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton?
Absolutely not. I think it's definitely more Hillary Clinton. And you can't sit there and say that there are Republicans crossing over to vote for Bernie Sanders. If anything, any of these establishment folks that are taking their ball and leaving the playground are going to Hillary Clinton camp, not necessarily Bernie Sanders. I think there's a lot of similarities between Bernie Sanders.
Are you proud of that? That the establishment is going to?
No, I'm not. Well,
yeah, you're right.
I mean,
the
leaving Donald Trump,
not like Bernie Sanders, because Bernie Sanders would give you real change. The establishment hates that.
Well, the Republican, what I'm saying is the
there's
crossover votes are not going.
Go to Bernie Sanders in overwhelming numbers.
Yeah, okay, but what I'm trying to say is Republicans that leave are going to Hillary. They're not going to Bernie Sanders. They don't identify with the Bernie Sanders message at all.
Okay.
The donors are going to Hillary Clinton. You're right about that.
And those are groups that we both don't like.
I want to ask you about this, Cenk. I want to ask you about the Democracy Spring. You're a vocal supporter of the Democracy Spring. It starts tomorrow in Philadelphia and promises acts of civil disobedience. Help us understand what this rally is about.
Yes. So it's going to start in Philadelphia tomorrow, and it's going to go to Washington. They're going to march to Washington. I'm going to be there on April 11th, and we're going to do a sit-in at Congress because we are so sick of this corruption. Look, let's call it what it is. These donors that give money to Hillary Clinton and to all the Republicans are basically bribes. They've legalized bribery. So we've had enough of it. There's 3 bills and an amendment that is sitting in front of Congress. They need to get money out of politics right now. 84% of Americans agree with that. 72% of Republicans say that money should be limited in campaigns. We should all agree on this. In fact, the American people do, but the politicians, the Republicans and the Democrats in Washington don't. So we're going to sit in Congress, democracyspring.org. Come join me, and let's start doing civil disobedience again, because it's obvious that this Congress will not listen to this.
Would pro-Trump people take part in Democracy Spring?
I don't think you would, but, Cenk said a lot of great things. I agree mostly with what he said, except for the fact that Donald Trump is not taking those big dollar donors. That, I think, is why the Republicans and conservatives identify with Mr. Trump, is because he's not. That's where him and Bernie have a like message, is that they're going up against this big money donors that have controlled Washington, D.C. But I guarantee Mr. Trump is not going to encourage people to do anything that's going to disrupt other people's opportunities to listen to candidates. Mr. Trump can speak for himself on this issue. I just don't think this is the way to go. I think you can have a peaceful protest, go for it, but I don't think when you sit there and take other people who want to hear about their candidate, whether they're Republican or Democrat, and get in the way of that happening, I think that's counterproductive.
All right, I have to leave it there,
Scotty
Nell
Hughes.
Hughes.
This is peaceful. I just want to be clear on that.
Right, it involves sit-ins.
And Donald Trump, you're right, would do nothing to disturb the establishment.
All right, Scotty Nell Hughes, Cenk Uygur. Thanks to both of you. Still to come in the newsroom, Bernie Sanders pushing back after Hillary Clinton accused